Today's video is brought to you by AlmostHeaven.com. Handcrafting at-home saunas since 1977. Want better sleep, less stress, and faster recovery? Now's the perfect time. Shop saunas, cold plunges, hybrids, and accessories. Use our exclusive code at checkout to save 5%. Link below.
Mr. Bo Parrish, can you believe it? The end of the alphabet is here, and you and I discussing what kind of interesting word or topic that can we associate with the letter Z, and you came up with it, my friend, and a great way to bookend our series with the word zany. Now, why did you find the word zany as the word that you wanted to go with today?
So, for me, trying to pretend like I can sing and act and all these things that's creative coming out of Nashville, Music City, Tennessee, is that I would be a perfect country musician. That's the farthest thing from the truth. You know that better than I do, but zany all comes down to a matter of not taking yourself too seriously. And my attempts at illustrating zany was me shaking my hands over my head, going, and acting stupid, because really, I'm not the center of all things that I'm seeking. I'm not my solution every single time, but sometimes I think I am, and that's all because I'm taking myself too seriously. I'm depending on me to solve all the world's problems, not only my own, but if I see something that's broken, I immediately think, well, I should fix it, even though I'm not equipped to do that, like entertaining a crowd with my voice, because I can't carry a tune in a bucket. I know that, you know that, so I don't need to do that. So that is a matter of being zany, of acting silly, of laughing, because there is something about laughing that is sweet and refreshing to the soul. And we should do more of it, and we should be deliberate about seeking it out. And so as we were talking last week on our why, I knew yet there was one talk left in our discussion, our 26-week series, and that would be Z. Z's not an easy word to think of. So I just happened to be driving by a comedy club that's not too far from my house called none other than Zany's. So I thought, what a great finish to a 26-week, fairly intensive course on mental, what we call mind modification. You know, how do we take our situation and make the very best of it? Understanding that we're imperfect, understanding that we're self-centered, understanding that we live in a world that forces us, or at least causes us to think that we could be someone other than ourselves. And that may be a good thing, that may be a bad thing, but the common theme here is self. When the fact of the matter is, there are 6 billion people in this world today. So life is certainly about more than me. And so how do I start to turn that focus from the in to the out? Well, first of all, it's me, myself, becoming less. In other words, we recapped with our H, which I think was on humility, the perfect, I shouldn't use that word, but a very accurate definition of humility. Humility is not thinking less of myself. It's just thinking of myself less.
And putting others before yourself.
Exactly. And chances are, you think about your best friends that you associate with on a regular basis. Is there one common ability that those people have for you? I don't know. There certainly is for me. And for me, they all make me laugh, because I may not go deliberately to comedy clubs every Friday night where I pay to be entertained, but there's something that feels wonderful about a good, deep laugh. There's some type of comical value that I find when I see other people not taking themselves too seriously. Dave, my wife and I were leaving Sunday school yesterday after teaching our second graders, and the last 15 minutes is always about free time. Well, our 8-year-old kids decided to make up a game where they were going to run roughly 10 feet and then slide across the table. Never would have thought about that. But it's amazing what young minds can come up with. They don't care what the world thinks of what they think. They just want to have fun, live for the moment, and at the utmost, they want to laugh. I think there's great lessons to be learned from the zaniness of young kids. It's at that certain point in life where we flip the switch and it says all of a sudden now, oh, I got to be serious because this is what the world expects of me. And when we start to say me, because of you, then the focus shifts from fun to serious, and that's not always an easy transition to make. And it certainly makes it a lot harder to laugh, to have fun, to be silly, to joke, to act stupid, all of which are characterized by our term today, zany.
And I think this falls in line with, I think, Bo Parrish's DNA, and that is getting outside of your comfort zone to find your true self, to find that inner passion. And you may not get it if you are too structured. And that sounds like it makes a lot of sense with this topic.
It really does. And we are, as high performers and as essentially as entrepreneurs who are paid for our performance, we are disciplined by nature. And if you think about discipline, there's two different sides to this particular aspect of life. There's time and there's space. When it comes to discipline, and this is where we actually fit along my path to purpose, which I write about in my book on the second P, which is pursuit. Well, once we've identified our potential, we have to do something about that. We have to go after it. And potential is a matter of discipline. We have to give ourselves the time to develop, and then we have to give ourselves space, which is the second side, to actually practice it. And so we don't need someone telling us when things have to be done. We intuitively know that if we do not bring discipline to the table every single day, opportunities can slip through our hands. Because in the mindset that we operate on, if we do not schedule anything throughout the day, nothing happens. Because there's no one tapping us on our shoulder saying, it's time to report for the team project. It's lunchtime. Now it's time to do research. If we don't schedule it, it's not going to happen. And that's very important as far as getting things done, ultimate productivity, but it can become a danger when it becomes all consuming and you allow that discipline to hold you essentially captive in life because there are other things than time and space towards developing and being productive.
So it sounds like you're saying that you need to schedule in your zaniness or schedule in the time to be serious, schedule in family time, play time, all these different things.
Absolutely. And zany is different for everyone. I mean, zany could be trying something different every day. Zany could be learning a different language. Zany could be going to the zoo, going to the county fair, eating meat on a stick, having a water balloon fight. I mean, there's no limits to zaniness, but it is making a conscious effort every single day to schedule in some fun time.
What is your take on the concept of faking it until you make it? So with this, sometimes you have to be zany. You have to put yourself in that mindset, and it's not easy. It's not comfortable. In a way, you kind of have to force yourself. So we're faking it to make it, even in the sense of forcing that smile because of what that does to you.
Sure. So I believe faking it until you make it is a matter of your mindset. What you are trying to do is reinforce a belief where you perform a certain action consistently until it becomes a habit. So talking about behavioral change, there is clear evidence to support that the way that you facilitate lasting behavioral change is not simply to change your activities, but to change what you believe about your activities. In other words, a person is never going to stop smoking until they actually believe that what they are putting in their body is going to kill them. They're not going to stop smoking by forgetting their cigarettes consistently on a day in and day out basis. because throughout the day, there's always that next gas station where they can buy a pack of cigarettes. Changing smoking is when the thought registers in your mind, hey, I'm going to kill myself if I keep doing this. And until that becomes more of a priority, you're going to continue to do the same thing over and over again. I mean, it's studied, research is there. Change occurs not by pure activity, but by beliefs. And so the whole faking it till you're making it concept is basically a convenient way to say, do something differently, consistently, until your beliefs catch up with your activity. And then it's now no longer a matter of simply doing things different because the mindset has changed. Believe it, then do it.
I really like your idea of not taking yourself too seriously. And I found this experience to be true leaving the world of television news broadcasting when my persona had to be a certain way. It was structured. It was literally and figuratively, well, not literally, in a box. I had to be a certain way, and I felt like I was lost, and I couldn't act like who I wanted to act until I left the business. And when I left the business, I was able to find myself, and I realized through reaction feedback that it was okay to be zany. And so I sense that some people out there may feel like if I throw my arms up crazy and I use different voices or I smile or make my face look a certain way, people are going to go, whoa, who is this guy? But it's okay to break the mold in your everyday life or what people perceive you as.
Well, and Dave, not only do you explain that in a masterful job, but you actually live that in your car reviews at everymandriver.com, which I would highly recommend everyone check out. Sheer body movements, face gestures, inside and out of cars, different angles you provide. You always tell a story. And ultimately, you're doing that through crazy, unexpected body language, which is not the just cut and dry, clean, generic car review. You actually bring personality and you make it an experience. And I think that's what draws people in. I think that's why you've had so much success is because you add personality to the car buying process. You've picked an area in the world that everyone needs. Oh, we all need transportation, but you've taken it one step further by inviting someone into your own experience, whether you're driving the car through the middle of the city, like you were in San Francisco, or if you're driving it through the backcountry closer to your home. They get a different experience, and the visual effects are there to support what you're doing. You do a fantastic job of acting zany in your online car reviews, and it's all right there at everymandriver.com.
Well, thank you for your plug. Now, when it comes to other areas in people's, maybe their business life, there's got to be some sort of boundaries on being too zany, but it's still enough to allow people to see who you really are. And it's that person who you really are maybe isn't wearing your best clothes, your dress clothes, your work clothes, but there is someone inside that somehow we need to show that. How do we do that? How do we show the zany side?
That's a great question. So I recently have aligned my personal coaching services with a local entrepreneur here in town, a guy by the name of Andy Bailey. He runs an organization called Petra, which is Greek for rock habits. Petra Coach. And he has 5 coaches in his organization, and he has 3 what he calls coaching coordinators, who are ladies who facilitate appointments, provide follow-up. But anyway, it all operates in a very structured, highly intense organization. But the wonderful thing about what Andy does, and he is all business. He owned a technology business for 20 years, did very well, sold it, and has transitioned into personal and team-based coaching, is that he's added an element of zaniness, and you can see it at his website. And he does this with all new characters, which he asked me to send him 2 pictures of me because he knew my background. He said, send me a serious photo, send me a silly photo. And he does this of his other 5 coaches as well. And what he does is he's hired a local graphic designer who combines the 2. And what you see is a cartoon character of the coach that you see personified on that website. And so my cartoon character is of my face, but then it has me in my Timex kit and he's a little too generous with my guns. But here it is, and it's wonderful. It's and you can actually look at it. It's very silly because the homepage, it has all these cartoon characters, and his business card, it's like a regular card but with a pop-up like bobblehead. And that's a business card. I'm like, this guy, you would never know by having a conversation with him because he's intimidating as heck, which makes him a great coach. But here's this zany side to him that you just completely wouldn't expect. And I think that's so incredible, is that it's almost like misdirection, which makes magic so effective. I mean, David Copperfield, the master of misdirection, is that you expect one thing and you completely experience another. And so find what it is that makes you laugh. And in this case, triathlon makes me laugh. And not only because I love it, I enjoy it. This doesn't, zany doesn't necessarily have to be stupid humor. It can be your passion in play, which we all have different passions, and then find your business self and combine the two. Why do we have to separate business and pleasure or work and fun? Why can't they be lived in a similar light along the same trajectory of life? I think they can.
Two things come to mind, and it seems like I'm falling back on our alphabet here. Vulnerability. I remember telling the story of there was a lady who told us a personal story of hers, and because of her vulnerability, we felt closer to them. And that fact alone helped separate her from the pack in a way, because I knew something personal about her and she stepped outside of her comfort zone and revealed some vulnerability. That is, I think, similar to what we're talking about of being zany, to going outside your comfort zone. The second point is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Talk about a guy who has two personalities and makes him universally has a universal appeal. He acts serious, gives you that eyebrow, then he flashes that billion-dollar smile. And I think we can probably pull from some of their characteristics and say, what in me can I be like them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, it's being bold and adventure enough to live on the outside what you hold so near and dear to your heart. Why rob the world of what it is that you love most about life by saying, oh, that's just what I do on the weekends, or oh, I don't really let that self come out? Why not be the rock eyebrow popping jock and then at the same time carry the serious nature that he brings to the table as well? I mean, we do not have to separate business from pleasure as much as I think we have to.
Yeah, the more we see people wearing the same blue suit, red tie, white dress shirt, or same looking black dress, or whatever it is, the more we all become the same. And I think it's important for us to share our zany side, to step outside of ourselves, because that's what draws people to each other, in my opinion.
It really does. And we can visually see that. And for example, yesterday at church, here it is, October the 4th, and I had my white bucks on. Well, we walked out the door and my wife goes, we're past Labor Day, right? I'm like, yeah. She said, you can't wear white bucks in October. And I was like, I'm a nonconformist, and so we went to church, and at least it's a conversation piece. I got white shoes on in October. So what? That's me, expressing a little bit of my individualism, my character, because I'm not an in the box kind of guy.
And I think there are some societal rules that we don't have to follow just because they're traditions or they're the norms. As long as they're safe and legal, then go ahead and wear your white shoes or wear your white bucks.
This whole idea of socially acceptable, I mean, what's that? Who sets that in place? Tradition? Who gets to establish tradition? Why can't we create something new every single day? Like white shoes in the winter and eating squash in the middle of summer. I don't know.
I agree. That sounds great. Hey, Bo, excellent. A through Z is complete. And Thank you so much for taking us on this journey.
Dave, it was truly an honor and a pleasure, and I hope we are zany enough today to act like the white masked Zorro riding a zebra to Zambezi.
Looking for a great at-home sauna at a great price? Get 5% off any indoor or outdoor sauna, cold plunge, or infrared sauna from Almost Heaven with my discount code DAVE, 5% off at checkout. For over 40 years, Almost Heaven saunas have been trusted as the top American home sauna manufacturer. Almost Heaven saunas deliver high-quality products and firmly stands behind the holistic benefits the sauna brings to your mind and your body. Again, get 5% off any order with my discount code DAVE, 5% off at almostheaven.com. There's also a direct link below this video.